Well, let's go ahead and talk about the actual tribes.
Yes.
We know that at the beginning of the show, we're going to have two tribes. One of them will be the Takeo tribe, which will be wearing green,
Hmm.
and we have the 10 people that will be on that tribe here. First, we have Abi Maria Gomez. She was from the
Hmm.
Philippines. And
Yes.
do you have anything to say about her?
Well, she is the Brazilian bomb. I'm not gonna say bombshell because she just blows up.
Yeah.
Um, Beautiful on the outside, and but don't get her mad because she'll come at you.
Yeah, yeah. She finished fifth in her season. She had eight tribal immunities. However, she only participated in two of those. Two of those immunities, partially because she actually injured her ACL, tore her ACL, in the marooning at the very first episode. So she was, hobbling around during the whole season. But I don't know if she would have done that much of a difference either way, if she was in the actual challenges.
Yeah, we
Uh,
haven't seen her in top physical shape during the game, so it'll be interesting to see what she will be able to do this time around. But sh if she's not proving herself in the beginning with in the tribal phase, then I think she'll get voted out pretty soon.
yeah, I think her big thing to do this season is to stay under the radar and do not blow up on anybody. Do not
Yeah,
go off on anybody unless she's trying to use that at her advantage, which I don't see that working. But you never know.
you never know.
Okay, so the next one we have is a classic player, Mr. Jeff Varner from Australia Outback, the first season that I watched. Um, how do you feel about Jeff?
Um, Recalling him from his original season, there wasn't really. I mean, he was a big personality, but he really wasn't able to do much in the game. But this time around, through everything that he's been doing on Twitter and Facebook and all the social media, I think he's more prepared this time around. And again, he's been waiting for this opportunity to play again for 15
For
years.
15 years.
So yeah, so he is ready to go, and according to him on some interviews, he has a secret preseason alliance ready to go. So we'll
Yeah,
see how far that takes him.
and one of those was actually with Shane Powers, who unfortunately didn't make it, but we'll talk about that later.
Yes.
Um, yeah, he finished 10th in the season. It's not very high up, but it's higher than some of the other people that made it onto the season. But
Hmm.
his real downfall was when Michael Scoopin went out,
Yeah.
because the Kucha tribe was ahead 6-5 at that point,
Yes.
and they would have gone to 6-4 if they would have won that immunity idol. But with Michael Scoopin getting injured and getting evacuated, that left them at 5-5. So when they merged and got that tie vote, it came down to the past votes, which
Yeah.
nobody would have known who had votes against them if it weren't for another one of our players that is returning this season. And we'll talk about that when we talk about her.
Yes.
Okay, so he was the second player to ever get voted off because of a tie vote and the previous votes against tiebreaker. And
Yes.
yeah, like you said, he did. We weren't really sure exactly what we to expect from him the first time around. The first time we see him on the episode on the first episode, he's stumbling around. He's feeling weak. He says he's gonna throw up. He's sick. That even on the plane there, he was feeling sick. So I don't know if there's some stories as to why they were feeling sick, all of them, but we won't go into detail on that. But yeah, I hope that he has a lot more game this season around. He was very fun for the little time he was there. Um, I hope to see a lot of him this season.
Mhm.
All right, so we have Kelly Wentworth from San Juan del Sur. She's actually the one that has the least amount of days than anybody else coming in for a second chance. So she actually only lasted 13 days,
Yeah.
and placed in 14th. What do you have anything to say about her?
Well, she was a super fan coming into San Juan del Sur. But because she was such a big fan, she got targeted by another person, and that was unfortunate. They didn't really have a better reason to vote her off besides she knows the game well, and I think in a season where everybody knows the game, she's going to be less of a threat. And I think she's pretty physically able as well. So I'm excited to see what comes from her.
Yeah, and she was actually pretty good in challenges. It wasn't like she was just getting thrown around in challenges.
No,
She was pretty strong in challenges, and I think she could have gone a lot further if it weren't for that season's twist, which was the blood versus water.
yeah,
She was with her father on the other tribe, and when that tribe mix-up happened, she ended up in the same tribe as her father, who did not help her out by causing a lot of ruckus on camp, which in
yeah.
turn they turned on her because of him. Although she'll say it was not his fault, but I mean, what are you gonna say? It's your father. You're not gonna
Yeah.
keep that against them. I think she has a chance to go far as long as she doesn't try to overplay, because she is a super fan. People know she's smart. As long as she doesn't try too much, or if she is, as long as she stays under the radar, she can go further in the game. I feel she can go further than Ave Maria.
I mean, don't fix what isn't broken. I think
Yeah,
what she did last time was good, if
yeah,
not for unforeseen circumstances. And so she keeps her game that way. I think she'll at least make the merge.
yeah.
Hmm.
All right. Well, then we have Kelly's Wigglesworth, who is the original.
Wigglesworth.
Yep, the
Woo.
original runner-up from Borneo. Uh,
Oh, wow.
what could
Hmm.
we say about her? What do you think?
Well, through some of the preseason interviews that she's done, she appears to not really care that much about everything that's going on. But something about the tone of her voice when she was doing interviews that makes me think there's something up her sleeve.
Yeah, yeah, definitely,
Yeah. She
definitely.
claims not to have a TV. She claims she hasn't seen anything. Not having a TV doesn't mean you don't have a computer. Doesn't mean you can't order DVDs to watch. Um, so, and she's supposedly a part of this preseason alliance with Jeff Varner. So,
Yeah, that's what I heard too. That she had an alliance with Jeff Varner, and a couple
mhm.
of other people actually. But
Yeah,
she's trying to. I don't know if she's being sincere. I don't think she's being sincere, and she says that she doesn't really care about it, or she's just going just to go. I think she's going to be a strong player. Um, Definitely someone. Remember back in her original season, she won 5 tribal immunities with their tribe, then 5 individual immunities.
yeah,
So
running
she
through her
was
to the end of the
to the
game.
end of the game.
Yep.
She was the first player ever to win that final immunity.
Hmm.
She took the wrong. Well, I don't know. I can't say she took the wrong person, because I don't think she would have won either way. But
Yeah.
she's a strong player. Hopefully, hopefully she can do better this season. I think
Hmm.
people will hold her to a little bit of variance. Hold her up higher than anybody else, because she is one of the
Yeah.
original players.
Hmm.
And yeah, do you have anything else to say about Wigglesworth?
She could be dangerous, and through the years she's become a businesswoman, and I think some of the business acumen and cutthroatness might come through here
Yeah.
and do her well, I think. So we'll see what happens.
And actually, she's tied for the record in the most individual immunity wins with Jenna Maraska, who's a winner,
Hmm.
and Kim Spradlin, who is also a winner. So
Yes.
so it's not an easy thing to do to get 5 wins. I don't know if there's actually a did Mike Holloway get 5 or 6? Do you know?
Something like that, but not in a row.
Yeah. So her run is up there with the top runs or immunity things.
Yeah.
And well, next we have one of our favorites actually. It's I struggle with her name. I think you said it was Feiji. Paige.
Pagey.
Paige Law.
Pagey.
Yeah.
Pagey Law.
I've always had. I actually called her Feiji. I don't know.
Eh.
I never knew her name, but
People call
yeah,
her all sorts of things. She's used to it.
yeah, she's used to it. Well, what's it? They called her Phoebe. So yeah, we'll go ahead
Eh.
and talk about Fiji or Fiji. I'm gonna be messing up her name all this podcast.
Yeah,
She's
you
from
do.
China. She plays fifth, but
Yeah.
she was small. back in China. She was a tiny woman, you know.
Yeah,
But
she
you know, she was actually a pretty good player, right?
she was pretty good, although socially she was not. She was a little awkward.
Yeah,
She she was the drama that season, and
yeah.
yeah, even on social media right now, there's a lot of people trolling her because they just think she's a bitch. But you know, eh, it's been what 8 years now since China.
Yeah, right around there.
Um, yeah, and she has her own business as well, and she is very active on Twitter, talking about second chance and previous seasons and things like that, and she has turned a lot of people around in support of her. So I hope she doesn't get too anxious going into the game, and she tries to do too much.
Yeah,
If she doesn't, then I think she could do pretty well here.
I think as long as she doesn't fight with anybody like she did in the her original season, I think she'll be good. Um, I just remember she just had the luck of being on this tribe that just didn't want to do anything. The very first time we see her in China, where she's talking actually about the game,
Mhm.
she's talking to Frosty, and she's like, "We're in a tribe that just wants to hang out. They don't want to do anything." And then we cut to her, and she's just like, "This is the lazy tribe." And then they do a montage of her tribe just messing around, running around, doing And then what happens? It shows them being rained on with no shelter to go under. So it's like,
Yeah.
and that's pretty much how it went for her the first part of the season before the tribal swap. And didn't really have numbers at all, and
Mm-hmm.
after the merge, she went a lot further than people were thinking she was going to go because she didn't have the numbers.
Hmm.
And I remember rooting for her, just hoping that she would pull it off, and just make it to the end and hopefully win it. But
Yeah.
you know, that didn't happen. But hopefully she can do something this season. And
I think the weather back then, when they were taping China, was it was really stormy. It was wet all the time, according to
yeah.
some of her interviews, and I I I, I think that was some of the problem for her as well. That's why she was so grouchy all the time.
Well, then you have the whole thing of not eating properly. So
And there is that as well. Yeah, and she said that this is gonna be pretty much a vacation for her because the weather's much nicer there in Cambodia than it was in China. So we'll see.
well, I don't know if you noticed, but the last couple seasons haven't had as much rain as the first couple seasons.
Mhm.
So yeah, I can see that.
Yeah.
So the next person on our list here is one of the ultimate
Sure.
super fans,
Yeah.
Shireen.
Shirin Oskui,
Yes,
from San Francisco.
she
Yeah,
just finished
the
up the
Yahoo
last season.
millionaire.
We'll talk about that in a little bit right now. She's from Worlds Apart. That the season that just ended, and what can we say about her? She's a character, right?
She is a character, and um, I don't know. Some people that went back out there immediately after they came back um, have a hard time adjusting their game. Just they just thought, oh, this game I played was okay. It got me back, so let me do that again and see if I can win again. See if I can go farther with the same strategy. And she needs to keep her cool. She needs to, yeah, she just needs to keep calm.
Yeah.
And I she'll be a target going in. That's not to be avoided, but if she can talk away um, into other people's hearts, I think
Yeah.
she has a shot. Yeah,
I think what we talked about, you said she's a millionaire already. She said it in her final tribal when she was
yeah,
before she voted. I think it was right.
yeah. Hmm.
Um, I think that was a bad mistake.
Dumb move.
Yeah. Well, she didn't know she was going to coming back at that time,
Yeah, she didn't know.
it's really really going to put her as a target because people are like she doesn't need the money, but there's
Mm,
still other people out there who don't need the money, but they can still
exactly.
use it. Um, but I mean, I remember the first time I saw her, I thought she was gonna get voted out on the first vote out, in her season. She ended up in eighth place. She they were I remember that red tribe. I forgot the name. Messiah tribe for
Yes.
World Apart. They were so ahead of everybody else at that very first immunity, and it gets to the puzzle, and she can't figure it out. And it's supposed to be the easy puzzle,
Yeah.
and that's when the no collars and the blue collars came and caught up and away they went. And I really thought she was going to be gone. I really did. And
Yeah.
when they didn't get rid of her, the second episode, third episode, I was really really getting tired of her, just because she was so. But then I thought to myself, she's a super fan. That's probably the way I
Yeah.
would be acting if I went out there. I would be acting like, "Oh my god, I'm out here. I can't believe I'm out here." I would try to hide it, but I think inside I would be feeling that. I just think that she didn't hold it in. She just let it out, and it didn't do any favors for her.
I think she lucked out in the beginning of the game because there were two other guys on her tribe that were playing more aggressive than she was, and that turned them into a target.
And she had so.
Um, yeah, so she lucked out there. Otherwise, I didn't think she would make the merge.
Yeah, well, I think if it wasn't for So on her tribe in the very first episode, I
Hmm.
think she would have gone. But I think
Yeah,
So overplayed her, and she went away, and Shurian made it all the way to the merge and into eighth place. So now she's back in for the season. So yeah. And one of my favorites is actually coming up next from Survivor Kagayan. It's
hmm
Spencer Bledsoe,
yes, the young lad,
the young lad. He's
young
actually,
lad.
I believe he's the youngest male on this season. At
Let me check. Yes, he is.
what, he's a 22, 23,
He's 23 now.
23. Yeah,
Yeah,
so he was what, 20 when 21 when he went out there the first time around.
he was
Uh,
21.
he
Yep.
was he was my that season's he was my favorite for that season. Mainly, he does have I think he does have a little bit of an ego to him because he is so smart.
Okay. Hmm.
But he was on the brain stripe. But come on, this Kagayan season was brawn versus brain versus beauty, and that brain stripe was supposedly has an IQ average of 130. So being on the brain stripe, we would think that they were going to be able to just handle everything that was thrown at them, but they were on the tribe that really was everything but brains.
They didn't really prove themselves.
Yeah, no, they didn't. They lost what the first three challenges, first two challenges, and then
First,
three
yeah,
out of four. It was 3 out of 4. They lost 3 out of 4 challenges, so they were decimated to only 3 people left, and then they were switched around. Well, really not switched around. They were dissolved. Well, it was a both, right? It was dissolving that tribe and then actually mixing them up with the other ones,
yeah.
and they had the luck. They had the luck of actually ending up all together in the same tribe.
Hmm.
But then he got backslapped by one of our other players coming back, and we'll talk about her later on.
Yeah,
So
chaos is coming.
chaos is coming, and I think as long as I would like him to get to the finals because I do like him that much. But I think he's too smart for his own good. I think people know he's too smart. He's going to be a target for sure. Um, so, and we've got to remember he's also the one that stood up in front of everybody and told, "Do not vote for Wu." And we'll talk about Wu a little bit later on too. But I'm hoping he goes a little bit further, but I don't have too much high hopes for him to go a long way.
Uh, he's gonna have a tough battle ahead of him. A lot of players have him as a target in interviews, and but the Spencer Tasha story was just so it was great to watch. It was a great underdog story to watch, and the two of them being back again, even though they're on separate tribes right now, I think people are gonna be watching for that.
Yeah.
If they make it far enough in the game to link up together again.
Well,
So we'll see what happens there.
let's hope that people don't see that coming and target them right off the bat. We can't let them get together again.
Well,
you
there
know,
there are three people from their season coming back.
oh,
So
there's 4 people.
four people.
Yeah, Wu's back.
What I mean? Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Well, we'll talk about Wu
Out
when
of
you get
sight, out
to
of mind.
it. We'll talk about Wu when we get there. Yeah.
Yeah.
The next person we have is Vitas. How do you say that?
Uh,
Bushkauskas?
I think Terry is up next. Terry Dietz.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm skipping ahead. Yes, I'm sorry. Terry Dietz is the next
Yes.
person up.
Hmm.
And he's one of my favorites. Um, what do you have to say about Terry?
He was very physically able. He was one of the strongest uh, elder men that we had that season. Um, he was proving to be a threat, and even through the merge, I think people start targeting him after they merged, and he was able to just pull it out and eventually get third place, which is nothing to sneeze at.
Yeah, I remember he was one of the first one. Actually, I think he was the first player that I chose that was just going, and going, and like he's gonna do it, he's gonna do it, and finally at the very end he fell. Like no, I just remember like oh, I can't believe this. So I didn't like
Yeah.
the winner, I didn't like the runner up because of that, but
Hmm.
not because I don't like them as players, but because
Because they voted out
they voted
Terry.
out Terry. Yeah, and
But then you have to be crazy not to vote out Terry at Final Three,
yeah,
because
yeah, I
there's
was
no way you can win against this guy in Final Three. He's too
yeah.
charming and too strong for you to
as
take
much
to the end.
as I like Terry, if I was there, I would have done the same thing.
Yep.
There's no other way. You're not gonna win against Terry.
Nope.
I remember he was the oldest. He was the oldest. He was one of the oldest because he's not the oldest because I think alternate Dan was one of the oldest, and they had Bruce on that tribe as well. I think he was
Yep.
older, but he was on the older men's tribe, and
Hmm.
he will be the oldest out in Cambodia. He's
Yes.
he's actually still tied with the most single immunity wins in a season with five. So there you go. Going back to the question we had earlier, he's tied with Kobe, Tom, Ozzy, and Mike Holloway.
Yep.
So I mean, the names on that list. I mean, they're what Survivor legends.
Yeah.
Even those what that didn't win, they're Survivor with legends. Um, he actually has, let's see, he has the record for the most post-merge wins in a single season, including reward and all. He has 8 wins after the merge, so I mean, he's got a lot of wins. And he was the second survivor to actually went to find the hidden immunity idol. The first one when it was actually set in motion into from the beginning of the game. But we'll see. Well, hopefully he does good. He's one of my favorites. Hope he goes far.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, now we have Vitas.
Yes.
um, Vitas comes from Blood versus Water, the
Hmm.
first Blood versus Water. He was out there with his brother. Um, his,
Aras.
Aras is one of the other ones that has people say his name differently. Aras. You know, I've heard his name said a couple times, and
Hmm.
even I'm pretty sure even Vitas has a his name
Oh,
butchered all the time as well. But
yeah.
he finished 10th. I think he could have gone further if he wouldn't have gotten back together with his brother after the switch. Um, because remember they had a big rival. They weren't showing that they were going to work together at all at the beginning of the season. The whole show, the whole thing was them battling. Was I don't like my brother. He's been the show off. He's been the better younger brother since the very beginning.
Yeah.
But
But
once
but
they,
people.
go ahead. Sorry.
Oh no, people saw through that immediately.
Yeah.
They're like, they're not gonna vote each other out. They're not gonna go against each other.
Yeah.
And especially one of the brothers has already won the game before, has already taken the million. Um, that only makes your target that much bigger.
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, and they eventually had to take him out. I mean, he was physically fit, and he had good alliances going through on
Both
until
ends.
they had to vote him out.
Yeah, he had a license. He had alliances on both tribes
Hmm.
after because of the switch up, and
Yep.
I remember them showing him with Aras on the mountaintop, or I'm not sure if it's a mountaintop, but on a cliff or whatever they were at, and they were just talking back and forth, and they were pretty confident on what they were going to do. But while they were doing that, Tyson was out here convincing everybody to vote them out. So
Yeah.
I think that was, and they didn't see it coming. So I was really pulling for them. I didn't want Tyson to win. Unfortunately, he won. Good, Greg actually liked the guy. It's just I didn't want him to win, but I would have rather seen Vitas go a little bit further in Blood versus Water.
Yeah.
All right, so we got our last member of the Takeo tribe, which is Wu, which
Hmm.
is the one that easy to forget, kind of, even though he made it all the way to the end, and he was a runner-up.
How
Uh,
can you forget the guy when he, a year ago, gave away his million to somebody else that shouldn't have been in the final,
yes,
but he's there anyway. Um,
not to take away from Tony's win in Kagayan. I can always miss on that one.
oh yeah.
Because he did a lot of work that season, but he
Yes.
had no business in the final tribal. Wu should have taken Cass,
Yes.
um, which we'll talk about as well a little bit later on, like we said. But he had this whole thing about being loyal, being righteous, and all that. Um, although I've heard other stories as far as I don't. Do you know his nickname?
Uh, what was his nickname?
Weasel Wu.
Oh yeah, there was that.
Okay, so
Yeah.
when I was researching Wu, I actually found on Insider Survivor, and this is according to them. This is not. This hasn't really been confirmed or been by Survivor himself. He got that nickname because he broke into the producers camp and stole food and shelter and water um, from them, and
Oh,
people found out, and so they started calling him a little weasel. 'Cause apparently he did it
interesting.
more than once. So yeah. And another thing is that I didn't think he was going to make it to the end because if you remember, he fell off the tree, and the previews to that made it seem a lot worse than what it really was when we saw it on the episode. But according to him, the Survivor medical team was actually really considering pulling him from the game after he fell from that tree. So
Really?
yeah, so it was a lot worse of a fall than we're led to believe. So
Hmm.
I don't know. I mean, when I see Wu going back, I just do the like shake my
Yeah,
head. I
the
can't
face
believe he
palm.
made, yeah, I can't believe people voted back in when he did that big of a mistake at the very end. But I
Yeah.
mean, you never know. He might be different this time around. He might be someone we like, but I don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't bet on that.
So
Wu
that's
will be Wu.
I
I don't think he's gonna change in this game.